Okay, I'm going to talk about what the goodies that I've been working on. Although bear with me here, I stupidly installed the latest NVIDIA drivers, and there's a telemetry fucking bug, and it's leading to high CPU usage, making CPU fucking spike. And I guess NVIDIA is releasing a hotfix tomorrow. I swear, that's great. Thanks, NVIDIA. Thanks for adding telemetry nobody fucking asked for, so our computers can run like goddamn dog shit. Fuck you. Okay, so in any case, so this is basically an introduction to Final Fight OS, is what I'm tentatively calling it here, and I'm going to talk about the features and you know how you can set it up, what you can do with this. We're going to start from scratch. Basically, in the package that will be floating around out there, the game list is just going to have Final Fight in it by default. Let me get the volume down here. So basically, Final Fight OS is a native resolution front end. It's basically Final Fight playing itself with all of the features of the native version of PC Final Fight. It's literally the same code. Basically, I have a bunch of defines in the source code that pretty much say, like, okay, for these small variations, do this for the front end, and do that for the game. But it really is all the same code, all the same logic, yeah, like I said, there's just variations on, like the names of things. See, like here, it says front end options instead of game options, stuff like that. And so you notice another difference here too is that this has menu volume. And so that is the volume for all of the front end sound effects. So basically in this, you can choose different volumes for the Final Fight music that plays in the background while the thing is running, the sound effects of the game that's running in the background, and then also the menu. The other option here is you can choose the exit mode. So when you quit the front end, you can choose whether it exits back to the desktop, whether it restarts your computer, or whether it shuts down the computer. And so that's another difference between this and the main Final Fight game program. The other difference is the keyboard controls. You can see how the names of everything is different. Basically, these are the capabilities of the front end. You got next and previous item. You have next and previous page in your list. Obviously, you can select items in the list. You can choose a random item in the current list that you're in. You can skip to the first and last item of each list. You can go back to a parent list, and you can refresh the folder that you're in. We'll talk about folders. And then, of course, there's this, like the, pause or, start. And then there's also a special binding for killing the task of the, program that you're currently running. So let me get back to the desktop here. So I'm using Big Blue Config's configuration utility because the lists are compatible with Big Blue front end. It's pretty much the same list structure. And so what's special about Big Blue front end, kind of like the feather in Big Blue front end's cap, was always the fact that not only did you have infinitely nested game list, but you also had the capability to choose whether each list item was, either a static predefined list or actually, like a reference to a folder on your hard drive. And so let me show you how this might work. So if we go into list, we can see that right now in the root list, we just have the Final Fight game, and that's it, right? But let's say that we want to do something like we want to add a folder. Possibly even using a template. So if I select, I've created these templates for you. So you can see how there are various emulator templates, and I also have a template for VLC. And you can see how this has been configured so that, we're basically running VLC in quiet mode in full screen, exiting the program when the video is done playing, turning off the on-screen display, and turning off all of like the overlay text. And then you can see how we have a force program to quit enabled, and we're telling it that we're going to use like the full file path for anything we add. So if I say add using template and I select VLC, now what I can do here is, basically, well, like first let me add a folder. So you can see here I have this avatar folder. This is the Avatar cartoon. So if I call this Avatar The Last Airbender, and then I just point this thing to that. You can use the browser or whatever, and then you can choose. I'm choosing this template, VLC Media Player. Is the template for the folder, and then I'm going to say that basically I want everything. I want everything in that folder, star.star. And so let's save this and see what this gets us. So oh, I'm stupid. I didn't populate it. I was going to say what happened to my things, but yeah, I didn't populate it. Okay. So yeah, that's fine. Okay, so now we have basically this thing configured. So if we save this and then we go back into Final Fight OS, you can see that we actually have a folder here, and you can see the folder icon next to the name of it. And so that basically just indicates that, this item, it's not actually a static list item, but it's a folder. And so if I go in there, you can see that we're actually bringing in the exact structure of this folder, see? And, and basically, like, if you select any of these things, yeah, let's configure our inputs here. So I'll do to kill the task, I'll assign that input. Toggle window mode, I'll do that. And then for refresh folder, I'll do that. Parent list will be that. Okay, that looks good. Okay, so I just rebound the front end controls here. So now, so now here's the crazy thing. Now this is where it really starts to get fancy, and like the full, and you can see like the full psychotic behavior really, it starts to sink in, like how crazy this thing is. So okay, so not only can this thing dynamically pull from folders on your computer, meaning that you can set up like a network path on your computer to just have like it's a dumping ground for videos. So you can just throw videos in here and then just play them all through your front end, for example. So not only does your machine act as like basically an arcade cabinet, but also it's a full media player. Look at this shit. Look at this fucking dynamic shit. The reason there's a refresh input, let's just say that I'm in here, right? Fucking around with this thing and say, you know what? I'm not really happy with this. Like, it's kind of a mess. There are too many items. What if I want to, kind of like restructure this shit and say, I actually want to break this crap up, and get some folders in here and actually break up these things by season, for example, so it's not just all, just clusterfuck in here. So I move all these, right? So I have this. So without exiting the front end, I can just press the refresh button and now it just instantly knows. Didn't even have to restart the front end. You can literally like never close the front end. You can just update the fucking folder and it's going to dynamically change. And here's what's even fucking crazier. So I go in here, right? Let's say you have like a nested list structure or something. Let's say that you have like folder A, then in folder A you have folder B, and then in folder B you have folder C or something, right? If you're in folder C and you delete folder B and you refresh this thing, it'll automatically know to take you back to folder fucking A. Like it's all dynamic. It's all awesome. Like this is the best front end. There's nothing even fucking close to this thing. I mean, really, there's nothing close to this. Nothing has this thing's functionality. So basically, you know, you got that right, and I set up the kill task. So even though VLC doesn't actually have joystick controls, and there's no like way to exit, you know, like VLC with a gamepad, my button, you know, press with the kill task, you know, will still work. So I can get out of that shit. Yeah, it is the fucking best, man. So basically, and the other thing too is, so let me emphasize it. Like this can be applied to anything, right? So, okay, so we did that, right? So we have our avatar folder. So let's just say, all right, let's get down and dirty here. Let's really start to restructure this shit. So so I have this root list here. Let's say it's like, okay, well, you know what? I really want like a separate list here for like my favorite games. So if I create a folder or like, sorry, a list, and I call it, you know, favorites, you know, I can, you know, move, you know, this into favorites, right? So we got Final Fight out of there. So now Final Fight is in favorites. And let's say that I want to do like, you know, maybe, I don't know, another list for things like, you know, TV shows. Okay. And then you know, we can move this thing to, let's put Avatar and TV shows. All right. So we got that, right? So again, if we refresh this thing, you know, actually this one does not automatically refresh because these are static lists. I'm gonna have to restart the thing for that. So the dynamic, and I, that is something I'm kind of tempted, you know, to changing, but whatever. But basically, I just want to show though how, you know, like you can have lists that structure the thing. So, you know, you got Avatar in there, but yeah, that might be something I'll do actually. Is, I mean, I could potentially reload the whole list, you know, on refresh, but right now the refresh is for specifically folders. Okay, so in any case, you know, this Final Fight that you can launch, and then, you know, and that's the game. You know, whatever. Isn't that funny? You know, hey dog, I heard you like Final Fight, so I made Final Fight that can launch Final Fight, so you can play Final Fight while you're in Final Fight. Okay, so. But what I want to show though is how the folder capability doesn't just apply to shit like watching movies or, you know, TV shows or whatever. What if I want to do something like, let's say I want like a folder of like all games for a certain system. So what if I say like, using a template, you know, for like Genesis games, I'll say like all Sega, you know, all Sega Genesis games, I'll call it, right? And then for the template, I'll select, you know, Sega Genesis MAME. Although actually my template's like super out of date. And see, so basically, this and the folder search pattern is going to be just, you know, star.star. Now, so I have this games folder, right? And so in this games folder, I have, you know, D games Genesis. So if I were to do this, if I were to take this folder, you know, point it at this, all Sega Genesis games, and then wherever I have my front end folder here. So if I launch this, you can see I have a folder, all Sega Genesis games, right? And so that is going to bring in all that stuff using the template, and then I can just, you know, cycle through any Sega Genesis game. They're all there. Oh yeah, and you notice too how like I added like missing glyphs that weren't in all the Final Fight fonts. So basically, pretty much any character that you're going to see on a file system is going to be in there now. But yeah, so basically, that's what you can do. And see, and what's cool about this is that like once you have it pointing to that folder to like play like all your Genesis games, you could just go into this folder, clean out the shit you don't want, and just use Windows Explorer or whatever your file system explorer is to effectively configure your list. Even like if you just like want the name to appear differently in the front end, you can just literally change the name of the fucking file, and that will be reflected in the front end. So you can see the power that you have with this thing. I mean, it's like I said, you can point this thing at list, you can point it at folders, you can pretty much do whatever you want. And then so let me show you the other capability here. So the other thing too, you notice like if you edit a list item, right? Notice how we have these options called auto run list item. So if I select this, basically what it's going to do is when you start the front end, it's going to automatically launch that program first. So if I start this, see how it's automatically starting the Final Fight game. And then if I quit, then I go back into the front end. So I can do that. So now even more awesome than that is not only can you set a default item to start, you can also select a default folder or list. So if I edit the TV shows list here, and I say that this is going to be my default list / folder, and save this guy. So now when I start this thing, not only is it going to know to run, oh, you know what? Actually, you know what? I'm gonna fix this before. But there's actually a problem in the Big Blue configuration utility. I believe that. Wait a minute, I'm gonna have to edit this thing manually because I think it screwed it up. But basically, behind the scenes, what this thing's gonna do is this avatar folder should be set as default. And then the Final Fight game will be set as auto run. Okay. So so if I set, I mean, like I said, I'm gonna fix that before I upload this video, but just you can see the functionality here. So you can see how this is auto launching Final Fight, but then when I quit Final Fight, because I selected, avatar as the default folder there, it gave me that folder, and so you can select really anything for, and actually I put it on the wrong spot. I put the parent folder here for TV shows when I really should have done the parent as the actual avatar folder. So when you start it, you'll go directly to the folder that that actually has like the movies in it. Say we're season 1, 2, 3. So yeah, so basically, not only are you able to choose something to start by default, you can also choose a default list on top of that, and it could be arbitrary. It could be anything. Like it could be any item in any list that you have that starts automatically, and then after you exit it, you can go into any list or any folder that you want to. So there's a lot of flexibility and and power there. So I mean, that's kind of like an overview over what you can do with this front end. And like I said, every feature that's in Final Fight is in this thing. It is the same code. So, want to use CRT Royale, CRT lots, fine, whatever. You want to output it to a CRT at native resolution, you can have a native resolution 384 by 224 front end, progressive scan, arcade cabinet front end that'll look beautiful. I mean, it looks fucking awesome on a CRT. It's so fucking sharp. I mean, really, it's like after you use it, you can't go back to an interlaced front end experience. You can't. It fucking sucks. So yeah, like I said, so this first release, I mean, like I said, because obviously it's new, I'm gonna have to hash out, iron out all of the problems I find and polish it and everything, of course. But this thing has really solid fucking bones, man. It has really solid functionality in there. There's other like really awesome stuff too that it's doing behind the scenes. To handle things like the focusing of windows and all that stuff. That's basically better than other front ends. So and what's so great is like with Final Fight, like when you exit the program, you basically get a nice exit confirmation prompt for free. See, like if you see, I mean, you literally get Final Fights, continue, for free as a confirmation prompt. This was meant to be. It was just clearly this was meant to exist. Everything just, fell together, fit together perfectly, and really this is like such a good thing for CRT setups and OLED setups, because this thing, if you think about it, I mean, even if you don't really go crazy playing games, this is actually a fucking awesome screensaver, because basically if you let it idle out and you let the the list disappear, it's basically just like a fucking awesome screensaver. It's just like Final Fight will just play itself in the background forever. Like, it's pretty fucking cool, and you're not going to really get any burn-in with this, because I intentionally picked endless levels in the Final Fight game that where like every pixel is always going to change pretty much as it's scrolling, so it should be very burn-in resilient. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with all of that. The yeah, see, the reason though that like I had that other problem was like with the Big Blue config utility. I was updating that, probably trying to be too smart for my own good. But basically, like what I was trying to do was I was trying to make the the options essentially update, or like the game, like the list items update other list items. So like, let's just say for example that I add like a Samurai Showdown 2 in this favorites list. So if I open Samurai Showdown 2 and open Final Fight, and see how right now it's saying auto run list item for Final Fight. See, so if I select this, because you could only auto run one item, right? You can't auto run more than one game. So you'll notice that if I select this one in Samurai Showdown 2 and I save it, see how it dynamically updated the Final Fight one to remove it? And so but what's happening though, I think, is that I think it's all, when I'm doing this, I think like there's a bug currently that I need to fix in the Big Blue config utility, where it's also blanking out some other settings. Like I think it's blanking out the default list setting too when it does that. So I need to fix that. So, but yeah, I mean, basically, it's pretty. I mean, this I hate to say it, but this probably is the end of Big Blue front end, pretty much, because I'm probably not going to really use it anymore. I mean, because, this Final Fight, I mean, really, it solves the problems that I wanted to solve, It does basically, what I wanted, a front end to do. Of course, that isn't going to do anything, because I told it to auto start something that doesn't fucking exist. But yeah, but basically the I guess the only other thing to show here is like just different like shutdown functionality that we have. I can go to favorites and remove this one, or well, I mean, actually, I guess I can just remove this because obviously we don't want to auto run something that doesn't exist. That's probably something else I should do. I should probably like not let you set something to auto run an item if there's nothing there, or I need to like more gracefully bomb out when you do something that like isn't even there. So, but in any case, yeah. So like basically, if I set something, like let's just say that you set the front end exit mode to restart. What's so that can basically just be like the mode that you have on the front end there. So yeah, I mean I think it's pretty much mostly there. Like I said, I just need to iron out some of the things. Oh yeah, of course, one other thing that it's I guess very important to mention, and some